Hello and welcome to GG Weekend Watch, kindly sponsored by BetMGM, where we have our first all-national hunt show of this season. We have a billion races to go through from Wetherby and Ascot. Hopefully Storm Ciaran doesn't interfere too much. Of course, we are still on weather watch very much. We have been through the entirety of the summer, and that hasn't changed going into the autumn, but we have plenty of races to look at, so we will crack on with the action. Of course, I am in the company of Dave Young and Andrew Mount, as per usual. Right, first race, lads, because we kickstart at Wetherby with a 0 to 125 handicap chase for 4-year-olds and over 2 mile 3 at 1:15. Wide open here, 4 to 1 the field, led by Cruise Control with our sponsors BetMGM, and with our sponsors, this is an each way plus race. Fifth of the odds, 1, 2, 3, 4. So make sure to utilize that. Well, we might be utilizing it, but it depends on what the lads think. So Andrew, who wins this one, or how are you playing it?
Yeah, plenty of money around for the favourite. I think was 8 to 1 at one stage. You just have a glance through his record. It's 3 wins from 4 starts on officially soft or heavy going, so you can understand why the money has come. But I was quite interested in last year's winner, Ladron. He won it on his second start this season. Slight concern that he was due to run at Wetherby on the 18th of October, but they pulled him out because the ground was too quick. It looked like that was perhaps going to be a sighter for this. But he did win first time out in 2021. Now he's had a wind up. He has won after a wind up before, and his course and distance chase record is first, and second by a length and a half. So he clearly likes it here. He can go well when fresh, and yeah, he looks pretty solid. Now the interesting one against him is Gallic Geordie, who is the only horse to have beaten Ladron over course and distance. That was in March. He's consistent. He goes well fresh. He loves the mud. So I thought sort of Ladron over Gallic Geordie, but maybe do the reverse forecast as well, or the Toto Exacta, because all you're asking them to do is something they've done before, finish 1-2 over course and distance.
Exactly, yeah. We like that, and we like following pretty much a formula that we've seen to effect beforehand. So Ladron is 5 to 1, Gallic Geordie 15 to 2, but different ways then to play our opener. Right now we head to Ascot for a novices limited handicap chase for 4-year-olds and over 2 mile 2 and 175 yards at 1:30. A few runners in here, Dave, so that we've already seen this season. But where were you looking for this one at Ascot?
Yeah, I like these races a lot. The novice handicap chases, especially in the early part of the season, I think are really informative because you've got horses that are going to be much better chasers than their hurdle mark. And then lots of horses, because of that, that may be beaten in these that are going to be good as the race goes down the line. Not sure this race is 100% as deep as other renewals have been for this. So I whittled the field down fairly quickly. And in favour of recent comments on the video, I will try and not bumble too much. So there are a few I could mention. GG.CO's one I do just want to quickly just mention for the fact that he was a bit of a talking horse before he went to Cheltenham, was thrown in the deep end in the Triumph Hurdle. Nowhere near his French form at all yet on anything he's ever done. So there is absolutely no reason in the world this horse should be the price that it is. But there's always this looming thing about the horse. He's £1 out the handicap. His official mark is 118. But the thoughts, and especially the French form, would suggest that he's miles better. So we know what Gaelic Warrior did after getting beaten. The Boodle started to progress. GG.CO at some point will do something, but you'd be mad to put any money on him until he starts doing that. The one that you wouldn't be mad to put money on, and I think has got a good chance, is Hamino. Does have the double A at the end of his name. That means Engel Arabian or something like that. Is that it?
Oh, yeah, something like that. Some sort of funny ingredient. Yeah,
I think they've got to be an 8th Arabian horse in there, so they're not like a full thoroughbred. But you don't have to say the AA. Anyway, I wasn't going to waffle. He got beaten in his handicap hurdle debut off 117, but he was beat by a horse that was rated 118 that day. Fast forward 2 more starts for that particular horse. They are now rated 140. They ran about 9 lengths, I think it was, 5th behind Apple away at Aintree. So Hamino was beaten by a good horse. They then diverted away from handicaps, just won a novice hurdle after that, albeit he didn't beat much. But he did start his season at this track last year when he was sandwiched between a couple of Paul Nicholls horses in a bumper. The winner hasn't been seen since, but looked like a nice prospect. But the one behind him went and won the mare's listed bumper at Sandown. So I think there's bundles of substance to his form. He looks a pretty decent price. So it's Hamino for me in the 130 Ascot novices handicap chase. At the price, I will be backing him each way.
Cool. He's 5-1 then with Bet MGM. Hamino. AA. Don't have to pronounce the AA. Was it Solly Doc, I think, that also had that? Was that? Yeah, who also had the AA then afterwards. And when he first appeared, no one knew how to pronounce it. And everyone was like, do you say it or do you not? Okay, then Hamino then for Dave. Andrew, where are we looking for this one?
Yeah, I'm really disappointed with this race. Disappointed that you don't pronounce the R after Hermino. I always can say Solly Doc R, who won this race a few years ago, as you mentioned. But yeah, you live and learn. Every day is a school day. I was quite interested in passing well for this one. Jamie Snowden's sort of, I think the 5-day stage ran about 14-1, but it's into 9-2 now. Now the final declarations have been confirmed, and the angle here is backing Jamie Snowden's young, inexperienced handicap chasers. All those aged 6th or younger who were making their chase debut were having only their second chase start. 25 winners from 97 runners, profit of almost £36 to a £1 level stake. So get them young before they've had the opportunity to go up the handicap is the key to this yard. And passing well, it's been pulled out a couple of times because the ground was deemed too quick. Certainly going to be on the squidgy side at Ascot on Saturday. And I like the fact that they've waited and they didn't rush him on ground that might not be 100% right for him. So passing well for me. And should also mention, of course, cruise control is entered in this race as well as our first at Wetherby. So I'm not sure which one's the first preference at the moment.
No, Stan Shepherd is jocked up at Ascot, and he would be the first jockey then for Tom Lacey rather than Alan Johns up at Wetherby, but he is the favourite up at Wetherby. So yeah, we're not entirely sure, but do watch that. Cruise control is doubly declared then for Saturday. Right, we actually head back to Wetherby ourselves now for a listed mares hurdle for the 4-year-olds and over 2 miles at 150. And again, this is an each way plus race, so we just have the 7 runners, but MGM are paying the 1, 2, 3, a fifth of the odds each way. Right, Andrew, mares to go out here. I don't know if I remember this correct, but I feel like you've got a good record in this race. Am I correct in that? And who wins this year's result?
Well, normally when we come to a mares race, you say that I love these races. And,
I know. I just have it in my head every time I see a mares hurdle. That I'm like, Andrew likes
this. I think Mrs. Hyde a few years ago was one, and then Molly's Ollie's Wishes last year, although she was. I think I might have hedged my bets and gone with her and Martello Stein. They've ended up finishing 1-2 at shortest prices, so it probably wasn't the hardest thing to find. But the key here is, I thought Harry Skelton. He's adept at sniffing out where the best ground is at Wetherby, particularly on the hurdles and bumpers course. And you see so many jockeys go around the inside when it's soft, particularly early season. It's generally not the place to be. You want to go wide, and that's the route he tends to take. I mean, you look at all his mounts at Wetherby, whether it's chases, hurdles, or bumpers. 51 winners from 153 rides, 33% strike rate, and a profit to £1 level stakes at SP. Now, in Class 1 races at Wetherby, he's had 12 rides. 6 winners, 6 places for a profit of £12 to a £1 level stake. So Katira was the one I was looking at. This one was second in Grade 1 company at Aintree when we last saw her. That was against the boys in the Mersey Novices Hurdle. She was 14-1 that day. She's coming back against her own sex, dropping from Grade 1 to listed level, and she's 2 from 2 on her seasonal debut. So there's lots of things to like. And, assuming the rest of them will want to go around the inside, and he'll just be like giving up the outside to no one. Harry Skelton, I think Katira is going to take the beating here.
Oh, I like it a lot, and a great name as well, Kate IRA. Okay, maybe not so much, maybe not so great a name. We'll give her a full name.
Let's not discuss politics on this show.
Yeah, no, right. We'll scrap the dissection of her name, Dave. With Katira, who are you with?
Well, Lucia is in my horses to follow for the season. I think she never showed just how good she was last year as a novice. Definitely didn't reach her ceiling in that sphere. But we're going to find out this year just how good she is. I think she will probably win the mares hurdle in March. That's why I stuck her up in my anti-post column this week, suggesting a bet on her at 16-1. That price is obviously correct at the time of recording. But in this division, over this side, Love Envoy is the only real one of the British mares that's not in this race that would be in the conversation of a mares hurdle come March. Katira, You Wear It Well, Lucia are the novices from last season that all look fairly well matched, fairly well balanced. They all go on all types of grounds. The trip should be okay for all of them, even though they probably, well, we don't know for definitely for Lucia, but Katira definitely wants a bit further, but on the slow ground that will come to the fore. So the market's going to be confused with this one, right? Lucia was a short 6-4 in the week. She went out to 7-2. Now she's been declared under James Bowen, who rode her first time at Newbury, so don't see that as a negative, although Nico did get to go and choose to ride Constitution Hill instead that day. But they're all priced like differently to how they were in the week. So I think this market's going to move about loads. The long story short with this one is I don't know definitely whether Lucia, like I think she will win this, but she's got such a good handicap mark. I don't know whether there's a little eye on that. And she didn't finish off the season last year. Like I say, she didn't continue her progression. Didn't finish her season off the back end of last year fully sound, I don't believe. She wasn't fit before Cheltenham. Even going into Angel, they said that she was better, but I don't know if she was. So if she achieved what she did when she wasn't sound, that's unbelievable. I think she would be miles better than these. Maybe that issue or whatever it is might roll into this season. But she did bolt up first time at Newbury last year. I was worried on the better ground at Newbury last year whether she would bolt up. I decided not to bet her last year and regretted that decision. So at the prices that she is now, she's a top price 5-2. I don't think that'll be about. She'll be short in this, even though Katia is going to be like a positive betting one as well. I can't let Lucia go unbacked in here. So it does temper my enthusiasm. They may want to exploit the handicap mark, but she can bolt up in here and then go and bolt up in the Greatwood in a few weeks anyway. So Lucia hopefully wins the listed mares hurdle at Wetherby.
To win this and then to go on to bigger and better things. Lucia then for Dave. Right, back to Ascot for a Premier Handicap chase for the 4-year-old Sonova over 2 miles and half a furlong at 2:05. Another open contest, 4-1 joint favourites here with Boot Hill and Red Rookie heading the way. So Dave, who are you siding with in this one?
Yeah, this is a really nice race as well. A good looking handicap chase. And for a snob like me that prefers the better class horses, we've got a few of them in here. So Boot Hill and Red Rookie that you mentioned, they're in the 140s. They're both 8 now, though, so there's not a whole host of progression, I don't think, to come from those. And they would both be requiring career high marks to win. So maybe I'll regret it, but I sort of dismissed them quite quickly at the prices. Fernambold Savola for Venetia Williams. With Venetia Williams yards, right, everyone will just say that everything's a mudlark, but all the horses are very much individual. So as much as it's going to be terribly bad ground at Ascot, probably, Fernambold Savola's best form comes on better ground. 2-time winner of the Game Spirit Chase at Newbury, that comes in February. So it may be that although he's the graded horse in the handicap, he may be doing his winner later in the season. The last couple of times he's running handicaps, he has won, but they were both like smaller fields and he was a real short price favourite in there. So he's respected, but he's got to be susceptible to younger legs. The other graded horse in the race is First Flow. Got to give him a mention, but he's 11 turning 12. His last win came in the Clarence House Chase. That was back in 2021. So we know that he loves an absolute slog. It will be great to see him back, but he is definitely vulnerable to younger legs. And some of the youngest legs in this race come from Saint Segal for Jane Williams, another yard where their horses sometimes seem to really like testing conditions. He's just 5 turning 6. He's won 2 of his 4 chase starts to date, but he's actually been sent off favourite in every single one of those, including last time when he was beaten by Red Rookie. He was sent off favourite that day. Got a £4 swing with that horse. We've already touched on the fact that that horse is joint favourite for the race at the moment. He comes here after a win-dot. And I know he can be a little bit keen in these races, but Ascot is a racetrack over fences that sorts the kids out from the adults, really. You have no choice. If you're keen at Ascot, you will make a mistake or you will not finish the race. So I think that will help settle him down. The 6-1 available with 3 places up for grabs looks more than fair for a horse that, like I say, has been sent off favourite on every single one of his starts. I think he'd marked workable. So Saint Segal for me, each way. I will say each way.
Oh yes, with 3 places on offer, as you say, 5th of the odds. Then it's Saint Segal 6-1 currently in here. Really likable horse, and as you say, another one of the younger ones at only a 5-year-old. Andrew, who did you like?
Yeah, cracking race. I mean, Bootil's run well at this meeting before, but I thought there wasn't much juice in the price. Red Rookie's never won before the new year. He's got his ground, but his jumping has not always been foot perfect, and he did fall on his only previous chase start of this track. I was looking at Fred Darme for Dan Skelton. Storm Ciaran Getting's riding. He's already had a 16-1 winner at Stratford today, recording this on Thursday. It's only his 2nd ride for the yard. The other was Luna Sovereign, who was placed in the Swinton Handicap Hurdle in May. So I thought that was an interesting booking. A little bit of a nibble in the prices. He's best when fresh, this one. So first time out might be when to catch him. I think Dan Skelton's won this race before. Was it with the Moolah Gold? Yeah, it was a few years ago. So yeah, he'll do for me. Funambule similar. Very interested back in the handicap. It's funny that Dave's saying younger legs, because he does seem to have been around for a while. He's only an 8-year-old now. I was quite surprised, actually. I thought he was probably 9 or 10. He seems to be around forever. He's had a wind-up since we last saw him. First handicap run since winning at Doncaster a couple of seasons ago. Whether he needs better ground, whether he needs a smaller field, but yeah, Venetia. I'll get it out of the way and call her Venus Williams for the bingo card. So yeah, Venus Williams. We know you're back at handicap chases in November. You're making a huge profit. 114 winners from 596 runners, profit of 177 quid. Now she went and did me by having I think an 8 or 9 to 1 winner at Chepstow on the 31st of October this week, just before my November system kicked in. So yeah, don't be surprised to see that one go well, despite concerns about the going. But I'll go with Dan Skelton's runner.
Okay, Fred Dance. Yeah, he's got another ride for Dan Skelton actually later on the card at Stratford as we record on Thursday afternoon. So
very
yeah,
quickly, just mentioned the last day, a horse who's always gone well fresh, an 11-year-old. But I made the mistake of tipping him on his debut last year at Sandown, where he drifted from 7 to 1 out to 28 and ran accordingly. It just seems that he can't do it away from 18 tree at the moment. So people will say, well, you must be backing him first time up because he's done you a favour when fresh before. But I won't. So they'll probably go.
But you're not going to let that sentiment cloud your judgment. The 16 to 1 outside at the last stage, to give me his correct pronunciation, but you're going to go with Frere Dance, right? No pressure. Right, I'm going to go with Boot Hill. Again, I'm not letting any sort of sentiment get in my way either. Being fairly unoriginal, though, because he is towards the head of the market, joint favourites at 4 to 1 with Red Rookie, but hopefully he can make that winning reappearance, because I like the angle of coming into this race after running well in a good race last time out, and he certainly did when we last saw him, third in the Grade 2 Pendle Novices chase behind Solo, who just took full advantage of the front runner bias at Kempton. He made all to win. Boot Hill was beaten, yes, as a 15 to 8 favourite, but I'm not being harsh upon that. He was held up in last, which just doesn't tend to work at Kempton unless they go crazy out in front. And he was conceding weight all around that day under a penalty. Now, the drop back down in trip will suit him much better, back to 2.5 miles a furlong. And he won his last handicap, which came at this track off of a £9 lower mark. But he's got better since then. So I still think that this mark is pretty feasible for Boot Hill. Right, Grade 2 action up now. It's a West Yorkshire hurdle for 4-year-olds and over 3 miles at 2:25. Thyme Hill is the market leader here, back over hurdles again from dear old Dashel Drash. I didn't know where he was going to go at Wetherby at the entry stage, but he's back over hurdles, now a 10-year-old. Andrew, now this race, I know that you have a good record in. I'm pretty sure I'm confident with that one as well. So who wins it this year?
Cracking race this. I think the one I'm going to back is Botox Heart, or Botox Has for Gary Mooryard. He's got a great record when fresh. First, fell on his one and only chase start, and then second in the per temps qualifier at Cheltenham in the early part of last season, when he was the only one in the first 7 or 8 home who didn't come from midfield or further back, and then he duly won next time out. Went back from 14s into 8s in what used to be the fixed brush handicap hurdle at Haydock. I mean, Thyme Hill, yeah, low mileage on the clock for a 9-year-old. I mean, it's weird. I was at Exeter for his chase debut, and I was watching from the balcony of the boxes. He was sort of coming past, and I'm thinking, you know, I thought he really struggled, although he won it. You know, he outclassed his opponents. I thought he's never going to win over fences again. Julie bolts up in Grade 1 Company 2 runs later, but I think you know, a couple of us might be able to beat McFabulous on a going day. So and then his jumping's sort of not been convincing since then. So I'm guessing they're going to stay over hurdles with him here, you know, running this and then go for the long walk, I would have thought. So yeah, given his record fresh, no reason why he can't go well, but his chances covered in his price. Dashel Dratted, the best 2 miles, 7.5 furlong horse in training. I mean, you feel a bit sorry for him, don't you? Because he doesn't stay 3. And it doesn't matter how many runners, how fast they go, what kind of track it is. He just seems to like peter out of the business end over this 3-mile trip. So he'll probably finish second again. But yeah, Galore I didn't like on the ground. I thought he was a poor price, around about sort of 13 to 2, 6 to 1, given his preference for a decent surface. So yeah, I'll go Botox Heart over the front 2.
Botox has at 4 to 1 then to take on the top 2 in the market. Dave, where were you looking for this one?
I mean, I feel like this is fairly straightforward. There are lots of times, especially in the jump sphere, where you will get Grade 1.5 horses. And I know it's really harsh. I pigeonholed Fakir Doodoo as one of these types of horses years ago. Yeah. And people used to abuse me saying he's had multiple Grade 1 wins. How can you class him as that? Well, there are soft graded races in the UK, and Thyme Hill is another one of those. He's a grade 1.5 horse. So when they drop down into these grade 2s, you have to take note. And unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but the bookmakers will basically just dwindle them and maybe make them look worse than they are. But Thyme Hill is much better than anything else in this race. He's actually available at 2-1 top price at the time of recording, the general 15-8 poke. Andrew's already touched on the fact that Dash Drasher probably doesn't quite stay 3 miles as well as a lot of other horses. He had his biggest heyday, didn't he, when he won beating Surname in the Clarence House Chase, was it, maybe? Or no, it would have been further than that, the Ascot Chase, sorry. But that was a race where like Surname pulled up. He beat Martha Tommy Tucker that day. So he had got a grade 1 win to his name, but that's it. All the other races he keeps getting beat. His racing post ratings as well. He's the only other horse in the race to post anything over 160. He did that once. That was when second in the Stairs Hurdle. Thyme Hill has got a multitude of graded form in here. So he's had at 3 miles. He's had a grade 2 and a grade 1 win, and he's had 3 grade 1 seconds, and all of those were RPRs in excess of 160. So when we look at those RPRs, especially at 3 miles, he's miles clear of everything else. Nothing else in the race can get near him. I think he's a stupidly big price at 2-1. I know he's getting a little bit older now, but obviously Dashel Drasher's 10, 10 and 11. And I know there's been like old horses that do quite well in these, but there is going to be a testing condition for a horse. And I think the older that you get, it's different from Thyme Hill being, say, 9 turning 10 and that horse being 10, 10, 11. So Thyme Hill will definitely win. I will just say on Garlaw, Garlaw. I think this horse is semi-interesting. Like, I know Dash Drasher will probably come second, but Native River years ago did this to me. I backed him for I backed him for the Gold Cup when he ran in this, and Colin Tizard said we might stay as hurdling with him. He came second to Stilso, I think, in 2016. He went on and won the Hennessy after that. Now, Garlaw, I think, could be potentially rooted down that direction. I think he's got an entry in the Coral Gold Cup. There's a few horses that will get that sort of a mention. And sometimes those types of horses can do okay in here. He doesn't have the form on slower ground in this side of it, but he did win over in France on bad ground, although they always say it's bad ground over there. Does look like a bit of a prep run, but I think he could potentially run quite well. So he is reasonably well found in the market. But I would say that Thyme Hill's definitely going to win, and I would say that Garlaw could surprise a few and run well in second.
Good, well, surprises for you. Garlaw 13-2, but Thyme Hill 2-1 at a good price. Said they for the informed Philip Hobbs and Johnson White team. Now back to Ascot for a novices hurdle for 4-year-olds and over 2 miles at 240. Plenty of runners to go out here, Dave. So who are you siding with in this one?
Is this on ITV, or were we back to back Wetherby and onto the Charlie Hall?
Well, I'm not entirely sure, to be honest with you. I've got it in my running order.
This is ITV, I think.
Is it ITV, the 240?
No,
I've got it in my running order.
The 315, I thought you were talking about.
Oh, wait, so it works. So this is obviously like live TV, isn't it? The 240, it's not on ITV, is it?
I think it is. We'll double check.
No,
it's
just
the
No, it's the 315, I think.
Yeah, the Charlie Hall's on there. But I can give you a little. Yeah, the race we're talking about Ascot though. Nico de Boinville go there instead of riding Lucia at Wetherby. So there's an interesting horse in there should the meeting go ahead. But we're not got that one covered on ITV. It should be the Charlie Hall next. Can I talk about the Charlie Hall then?
You are more than welcome to talk about the Charlie Hall. Yeah, we will scrap.
Okay.
We will scrap that novices hurdle at Ascot. It was in the original ITV schedule, but I haven't checked on updates, so my bad. Right, we will move on to the big race of the weekend now. This is, of course, the Grade 2 Charlie Hall Chase for the 5-year-olds and over 3 miles at 3 o'clock up at Wetherby. Brave Man's Game. He got the green light to run here earlier on in the week. He has 3 other rivals to contend with. So, Dave, would you like to take this away for the feature race?
I will, and I can keep this one short for the viewers at home because Brave Man's Game most likely just absolutely bolts up. When I talked about that West Yorkshire hurdle being a grade 2, and I saw about these 1.5 grade horses, Brave Man's Game's 172. Ahoy Senior's a horse that I love, and on his day, he puts in some good jumping, even a couple of bad jumps. He's a 170 horse. He's rated 169, but these are grade 1 horses running in a grade 2. They've faced off against each other a few times. Brave Man's Game has cemented himself as the better horse as far as I'm concerned. And Ahoy Senior, for me, does want better ground, whereas Brave Man's Game will handle the slower ground better than Ahoy Senior. So I have no reason to see how Ahoy Senior beats Brave Man's Game this time round. The prices are according for that, so he will win. It'll be an absolute no-bet race. It's interesting with Gentleman's Game and Midnight River in here, because typically these being 150s horses in a Grade 2 that have a good chance, they are priced like they've got a bit more chance than I would say they have. They would need both Ahoy Senior to do what he did last year and jump terribly and not complete, or they'd need Brave Man's Game to like make a mistake. And we don't want to wish horses doing that, so just leave it alone. Watch Brave Man's Game go and win this, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and as you say, he's priced up accordingly, isn't he? But we're limited, Andrew, though, in ways we can play this with only 4 declared runners here, and Brave Man's Game is a short price favourite. So did you have a betting angle in, or are you just a watching brief as well?
Yeah, when I'm in Camp David, I think Brave Man's Game will win and win pretty comfortably. I know he's run well in the spring in defeat, but he's never won in March and April. I think it's like 0 from 5 now. You look at his record over hurdles or fences from October to February, 9 wins from 10 starts. The only defeat was the second place on his hurdles debut when he got beaten half a length and needed the experience. But he's virtually unbeatable this time of year under these conditions, and I think he'll do what he did in this race last year. Ahoy Senior, I've got three theories, easy for me to say about him. One is that he's best in the spring. 3 wins and a second from 4 completed starts. The other is that he's best on good to soft or faster going. And the other is that he's best when he's had 2 runs within the last 3 months. It's a fitness thing with him. And having bombed out at a short price in this race last year, I think he will do what, like Korash Rambler, massive drifter, disappointed on reappearance at Kelso the other day. So I think he's going to need this. We also know he's going to lose ground by jumping out to his right as well on left-handed tracks. Hasn't stopped him winning left-handed on occasions. But I think there's enough negatives to say that he shouldn't be the second favourite. I don't think he will be on the day. So I'd just back Brave Man's Game, or just a couple of straight forecasts, bet Brave Man's Game to beat the other 2. Slightly concerning that Gentleman's Game still goes without the tongue tie and cheek pieces combination, which seemed to bring improvement last season when wearing that headgear combination for 3 runs. Didn't have it on for the reappearance 5 weeks ago. Hasn't got it on again. I mean, Midnight River's got a fantastic record following a defeat. I mean, this is his first run of the season. So if he does get chinned here, back him next time out would be my advice.
Okay, so different ways to play it, throwing this race forwards as well, but you're both with Brave Man's Game, and I'm going to join you as well because, yeah, I mean, I sided with Ahoy Senior in this race last year, and he was steamed in then in the betting, and yeah, ran terribly. So I'm not going to be making the same mistake again this year. We're all in on Brave Man's Game to take all the beating in the Grade 2 Charlie Hall Chase. Right, now we have another handicap hurdle up now for 3-year-olds and over 2 miles at 3:15 at Ascot, where at 4-1 our champ heads the way. So Andrew, who wins this one, please?
Not our champ, I don't think, despite his very impressive win at Cheltenham the other day. That was on good ground, as was his win the time before. I'm just worried about him on the ground. You look at the balance of his form on deep conditions. I would just be concerned that he won't handle it and won't be at his best. Interesting stat as well about this race. It's often gone for those at the head of the weights, and 9 of the last 10 winners were one of the top 5 in the weights. And I think 5 of the last 10 were top weight or second top weighted. You back the top 2 in the weights, you make £16.38 to a £1 level stake. So I think concentrate on the best horses. But you look at those. Compron's probably not going to like the ground. Favois semi-interesting, the county hurdle winner. Wouldn't be without a chance. But I'd be more interested in 2 horses: Teddy Blue for Gary Moore and Carbon King. Now, Carbon King was 40-1 when the betting sort of first opened, as the final decks were revealed on Thursday morning, into 25s now, maybe even shorter in places. Loved the mud in Ireland, needed that first run back when down the field on debut for Evan Williams. And I think the fact there's been little bits of money around so far that maybe Carbon King could be the way to go here.
Yeah, 22-1, and it is another each way plus race paying 1, 2, 3, 4 with BetMGM. So a good way to play this one. So yeah, like that a lot for the 3:15 at Ascot. Right, we're back to Wetherby now for a 0 to 130 handicap hurdle for 3 rods and over 2 miles, 3.5 furlongs at 3:30, 7 to 2 the field this time, with those pool burn colours at the head of the market, trained by Willie Mullins. It's Alvaney who heads the market. But Andrew, does he win this?
Well, you look at Willie Mullins' record in sort of low-grade races in Britain. I think something like class 3 or lower this century. It was something like 3 wins from 4 runners, and the only one he got beat was Alvaney because he can't jump, and that was at Newton Abbot earlier this season. And my goodness, if you'd watched this horse try to blunder his way around, you just think he should be 7-2 to get round, not to actually win it. So he's priced up based on the fact that Willie Mullins is running a horse in a class 3 handicap hurdle at Wetherby. He shouldn't be that sort of price. I don't think he'll be favourite on the day. He's just going to drift, certainly in running after he claps the first. Wind of the Lightning is certainly fascinating. This one, she ran in that valuable mares race at Cheltenham in April when we last saw her. Paid to be on the front end that day. The winner made all. The runner-up was always in second place. I think the 4th, 5th, and maybe the 6th were always prominent. And she's come from off the pace to grab 3rd. I thought she was set for a good season and could develop into a much better than a 120 horse. But I do worry about the ground because all her best form seems to be on goodish ground. Decorated was also interesting given the love of the ground. Is a front runner though, so if there is a bias and you don't want to be on the inside, you always worry that the front runners naturally will take the shortest way round and end up in the swamp. So there's 3 others I was looking at. Foster's Island sounds like a terrible place to go on holiday where they only serve weak lager.
Not your cup of tea.
But I do like. So I mean, Emma Smith chased Chatham ride. You back all her rides for Mickey Hammond to make a profit, and this one likes to come late and often wide as well. So she tends to take the self-preservation route, particularly at this track. So if there is a bias and you want to be wide, then each way support. She's run well here. Foster's Island has run well at the track before. Half a Piece won this 2 years ago. Pan Slide trained seasonal debutant. You back all her horses returning from a break of 150 days or more, flat jumps, whatever, you'd make a profit. So that one could go well and will come back. But I'll go with Albert's Back, who just loves this track. Now, in sort of deference to another podcast, there are other podcasts, believe it or not. Albert Back's course record over hurdles: 1-1-1, fell. Second, beaten a short head. Second by a neck, and first. So it's 4 wins, 2 narrow seconds from 6 completed starts. And when he fell at the first, he was going like the absolute winner at the time. Albert's Back, loves it here. I think he's going to start favourite. Actually, he's not at the moment, but I think he will be favourite.
Albert's Back, who loves the track. You're a poet, and that delivery then of the form figures was exemplary. A few of those other people on those podcasts could learn a few of that delivery. I would hasten to add there, Andrew. Right, Dexo Gold Cup time up now. A Premier Handicap chase for 4-year-olds and over just shy of 3 miles at 3:45. Loads of familiar names in here. So Dave, take it away, please.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this race. However, I'm now stuck with Eminem on my head. I just can't stop hearing, guess who's back?
Albert's back.
So thanks for that. When he goes and wins, I'll add in for the, now that's what I call horse racing music, to go alongside some bangers from the past. This is a good race, right? There could be a few horses that could have songs named after them in here. Monbeg Genius comes in here as the favourite with the standout line of form. That ultimate run where Karach Ramba's gone and won a Grand National, and then Fast and Slow's gone and beaten Braidman's Game and Galloping de Champs in a Punchestown Gold Cup. I would potentially question whether today's supposed to be the day. He is currently favourite for the Hennessy, the now Coral Gold Cup. Mind you, he would get just as much for winning this race as he would get for coming second at Newbury. So I don't think they'd be all that disappointed if he went and bolted up here and then placed over there. But he deserves to be favourite on that line of form. But we do have to see how that form stands up after. All looks good in hindsight now, but Karach Ramba's already been out, not so good. Bartlesloe might not actually do anything this season, and then we can look back and say, what an idiot I was to follow that form line. And I think at the price that he is, you would be taking a bit of a punt. Beauport's, again, I think a bit short because I'm not 100% sure that he stays all that well. The yard are flying first time out, so that is something that does scare me a little bit. He won on his seasonal debut last year as well, but I don't think he's going to like Ascot. But even if I didn't poo-poo those horses, the one that I like, I already really liked, and they're just helping boost the price. Eldorado Allen will win the Sodexo Gold Cup. He ran Brave Man's Game to under 4 lengths while giving him £3 in that Charlie Hall last season. We know what that horse did after. Andrew's already touched on Brave Man's Game fairly early in the season. Like, it's probably the best Brave Man's Game you'll see for the whole of the year. The choice to run here off 154 with Freddie Gingle taking £7 off, that stinks that they know that he's got a winnable mark. Because if this was a prep run for something else, why not run him in the Charlie Hall again, not have anything done to his mark, and then go to Newbury and go and run in a Hennessy, because he has got an entry for that Coral Gold Cup as well. He did win the Denman Chase there in 2022, so we know that he likes the track. So like I say, the fact that they're putting him in here is a big telling sign for me. He's also won 3 out of 4 times first time up, and I've touched on the fact that he got beat by Brave Man's Game last season first time up, so that is, as far as I'm concerned, is a win in the context of this race. Eldorado Allen, at the time of recording, I believe, I mean, he might have been short, and I need to double check. I think he was still 7 to 1 top price, and you can get 15 to 2 with one particular maker.
The MGM 15 to 2.
Nice, but there's some extended places that dot about as well. So however you want to play this, do what you want. I know that at the time of recording, Bet365 was still 8 to 1 this horse, and you can extend him they were doing 4 places anyway. You can extend him to 5 places and get 7 to 1. I think he looks like a fairly obvious shortener. There's a teeny tiny question mark about how bottomless the ground will get at Ascot, and if it gets really bad, that would worry me slightly. But he doesn't want quick ground. He'll go on pretty much anything, I think. And I just think that he's marked winnable anyway. The £7 that Freddie Gingle's going to take off, and the fact that he is the real class horse with proven form in the race. Eldorado Allen's a stupid price, and I think he's going to bolt up. So get stuck into Eldorado Allen each way.
15 to 2 each way plus race again then with BetMGM. 1, 2, 3, 4. Confident selection from Dave there, Andrew. Were you equally as buoyant over this race?
Yeah, but not about that horse.
Well, got happy there.
I sort of ran out of time, although on Monday when I was writing my Racing Football Outlook column, I did tip Ziguli for Gary Moore, who's got a fantastic record on soft or heavy going based on race times, not the official verdict, including, 5 wins, a third and a seventh from his last 7 starts on such a surface. Now, over fences, soft or heavy going, 3 wins and a third from 4 starts, with loads of rain around. You think he's going to have conditions to suit. His trainer's won this 3 times in recent years. He's 20s into 14s since the declarations were confirmed. So I thought, Zaguli had a good chance. Monbeg Genius is obviously interesting based on that third to Corash Rambler at Cheltenham, but he seems to have been priced up that he's already won his next race, not just run really well in a good race. And he's got up £7 from finishing third. So if he wins this at sort of 3 to 1-ish thereabouts, you can let him go on back to the thing. But it's a cracking race. We've got some old friends in there, like 2 for Gold for Kim Bailey. Wouldn't begrudge him Emma win, but I'll go Zaguli.
Zaguli 14 to 1, a nice price, like you say, has been nibbled in already. Now you say about it ahead of the market, 100 to 30 about Monbeg Genius. That's it. You can go and let him win at that price. Well, I'll be backing him at that price because I still think that that's fair, and I am being completely suckered in by that form line. I don't even care how it's going to transpire this season for now, because right now I am happy to completely go with it. But I was kind of annoyed again because I ran my own trends against this race, and he came out on top. So I feel very unoriginal, just like Boot Hill in our earlier race in the 2 mile 1 handicap chase. But Monbeg Genius on his reappearance, and that third in the ultimate, like you've both said, it's one of the strongest pieces of form from last season. Corac Rambler winning the Grand National, Fast or Slow winning the Grade 1 Punchestown Gold Cup, beating Galopin de Champs. So yeah, Monbeg Genius, he, apart from obviously Corac Rambler's disappointment the other day. He's the next in line in the race of coming down the places to really show his hand now. Now, the £7 rise for that, it does sting. Of course it's going to. It's understandable, but I don't like it. But anyway, I still think that he's entitled to go on even further this season, seeing as he was a novice last year. And hopefully he'll win this to go on to bigger and better things. Perhaps then the old Hennessy, I don't know what it's called now, or then even to work up into being a national horse himself. And with the reduction in the field size for the national, he'll probably still be wanting to win this and to be pushing that mark up just to be assuring his start in the lineup a few months down the line. So I'm happy with Monbeg.
Yeah, they might keep reducing the size of the field in the national as well, so he'll have to be rated 180 to get into it.
Yeah, exactly. Just Brave Man's Game versus Galopin de Champ, and that's about all we've got to be able to run in the national. Right, that is us done for our scheduled races. So Andrew, I'll go back to you, please, for anything from anywhere else. We've covered everything.
No, crikey, we've 10 televised races. I'm not doing any more unless I'm paid overtime.
Well said. Okay, Dave, anything from anywhere else?
No, let's just get stuck into naps. There's a few I like, but I've got one. I've got one I really like.
Right, well, reveal it then, Dave, your nap.
Okay, I mean, I do always like to waffle this point, but I just want the viewers to know, right, the three that I like that were on the shortlist for it, Hermino, I really like in the 130, obviously really like Eldorado Allen, but Thyme Hill will bolt up in the West Yorkshire Hurdle, and I do think the 2-to-1 about him is very generous. So it's the shortest price of the three of them. Thyme Hill's the nap for Saturday.
Still 2-to-1 though available now for Thyme Hill. Andrew, your nap, please.
My nap is Albert's back in the 3:30 at Wetherby. Did I mention his fantastic course record from figures up? No.
The pause with the delivery we don't have the time for that, unfortunately, wrapping up, but we did appreciate it earlier on. And I'm going to go Monbeg Genius then, may as well do, in the 3:45 at Ascot, the Sodexo Gold Cup. Right, that is everything from us on this week's show. A big thank you to Dave and to Andrew for all of their hard work as per usual. A big thank you to our sponsors, BetMGM, and a thank you to you for watching. We'll be back at the same time again next week to preview more weekend action.